What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to an episode of Greyman Operations. In this video, we're going to be talking about zeroing red dots. Now, those of you who follow the channel for a while will know that I run red dots on all of my pistols. I'm a big believer in red dots, and as a gear reviewer, I get to test quite a lot of red dots. So I'm always hot swapping these things and then obviously having to zero them. I put different red dots on different pistols during a review process. So I would say I do more zeroing than the average everyday carrier. I also told Michelle from day one, I wanted running as a red dot because I believe it's a huge advantage. And I've developed, I think, a system that is relatively low round count and, more importantly, relatively low skill level. I think that's very important. Guys, just before we do that, you remember last weekend on Patreon, we gave away a Canik. Just remember, guys, we will be doing that again in about a month and a half's time. So if you want to get in on that and become a Patreon member, the link is the first link in the video description below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, it's the first comment. We are going to be giving something away at the end of this month as well. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you yet. It's going to be a surprise. Guys, before we get into this, just remember, this is just an opinion. Nothing here is a recommendation. I'm not an instructor. This is just what's been working for me over the years. Take what works for you in this and discard what doesn't work for you. And if nothing is right and your instructor says I'm 100% wrong, believe them over me. Now, first and foremostly, let's talk about the target. Guys, I'm a relatively simple person. A4 piece of paper, 10 inches by 5 inches. It's slightly smaller than an A zone and little squares inside them. These squares are about the size of your thumb. Okay, if you want to know exactly how big they are the size of 3 9mm rounds stacked next to each other. If you want to know why I chose that size, literally one day I just thought to do it that way, and I've been doing it that way ever since. Let's get straight into it. The first thing I did to start this test was unzero what red? I think it was this Accra Origin. And all this footage is from today. This Accra Origin, this green dot, I basically just took the range and windage and just wound it up, and I took a couple of shots. Now, truth be told, you'll see I didn't actually have a point of reference inside that small block. The reason for that is because I didn't actually think I was going to hit on the page. So I was aiming for the center of the target, as you saw me point to it, and I hit a bit off to the left. What I then do, so let's just imagine this is a brand new red dot, and that was my first 3 shots. Now, the reason I take 3 shots is because my philosophy is if 2 of the 3 shots are on target, we're probably going to be okay. The reason I don't go 5 is because it can become a bit ammo consuming if you go 5. And I find if you go 5, take 5 shots, and 3 of them are good and 2 of them are out, you're like, I'm not 100% sure. Was it me or is it the red dot, and am I adjusting accordingly? For some other reason with me, 3 just seems to be like the golden number to where I can zero quickly and easily without having to second guess myself. And when you're zeroing, second guessing yourself is a big problem. I'll talk about it later. So anyway, we hit a bit to the left. I then turn the dials, right, to the amount I think is going to be enough. And that's my starting point. And then I start off with 3 shots at 3 meters. Now, guys, I was aiming for the center, that little square. And truth be told, at 3 meters, I want all 3 shots inside the square. I don't care where they are inside the square that much, as long as they're inside that square, because like I showed you earlier on, that square is small, guys. It's a small little square. Okay, it's not as big as it looks when I zoom in on it. It's a little bit bigger than your fingernail. But at 3 meters, I would really like them all inside that square. So I adjusted my zero a bit to the left. I think it was like one full half circle of the windage dial to the left, and I think it was 1 full half circle up, and then I ran 3 more shots from 3 meters. So on the second occasion, I got all 3 shots in the square, and guys, here's the important bit. At that point, move on. move on to your next distance, which is 2 meters back at 5 meters. Now, as you can see, that was 1 low and 2 in. So technically, I should be okay with that, but you know, I'm filming it for the video, so ego gets involved. And so I do another round of 3 shots at that distance. I did slightly raise the elevation. So now you're seeing a pattern develop here, right? My first shot is generally always a bit low. At 3 meters, you won't pick that up, okay? But my first shot's low and my next 2 are dead on. So more than likely, I am zeroed at this point. And so here's a small example of emotion getting in a bit, chasing the zero. Take a moment, chill out. I know I can hit that target at that distance, but look at that first shot. It's out of the actual full block. Okay, that is not the pistol, that's me. And that's just me tensing up because you're on camera, you want to do a good job and maybe lack of skill. And so just a small breather, take a small break, and there the next 3, I put all 3 inside of the square. Now here's the thing, guys, from the best 3 shots at 5 meters to the worst 3, I didn't adjust the zero. That's something you have to be very understanding of. Zeroing a pistol, your mental state and how tense you are does have an effect, because you're talking about, like, ordinarily, on this target, this is acceptable, right? This is like we within the size of a roll of masking tape. Okay, this is acceptable hits, but what happens is when you zero, you focus on the tiniest thing, and you almost psych yourself out and start chasing your zero. Take a moment, step away from the target, calm yourself down, lose your ego, go back, run another 3, and you'll more than likely find you are zeroed. So those are 3 shots within that square. Now, ordinarily, I would do at 7 meters as well, but it's just to save time, I moved back to 10. Actually, I think this is more like 11 or 12, but whatever, it's 10 big steps. Hey guys, and at this point, I want to say that this target is probably, this red dot is probably zeroed. Okay, as you notice, I've been shooting my first shot low since we moved to the 5 meter target. Okay. At this juncture, that the dot is probably zeroed to within an acceptable level. 2 of my 3 shots are literally breaking the rim of the square. And as I said, that square is tiny. If you're moving back to 10, you might want to maybe increase the size of that square a bit. Especially if you are maybe a newish shooter and you struggle to stack them on top of each other like that. But here's where I go down the rabbit hole. This is the point at which I decided I'm going to try it. Not decided, subconsciously I was like, nah, I want it like dead on. Now that second string is 1, cutting the square on the left, and 2, slightly higher. Here's where you start questioning yourself. I did make a slight elevation adjustment. Even though I shot a bit high on the second shot, I made a slight elevation adjustment, subconsciously to cater for me probably pushing the gun down a bit. Now, the advantage is I'm not pushing down to the left, and I'm not pushing down by a ton. I'm like that much away. Okay, I'm probably still going to hit everything I'm aiming at, and I'm definitely all A zones at 10. And so now I've adjusted my zero a bit. I've raised it up to where the first shot is now sort of in line, maybe a bit left, but acceptably, and the second 2 is high. And so now I go chasing it a bit more, and now all of a sudden I'm off to the right. This is what happens when you start chasing your zero. You have to understand there's a human involvement, and you are not a machine, and you're not going to be perfect. So you have to allow yourself a reasonable margin of error when it comes to zeroing. Very few people are going to be able to stack them on top of each other like that continuously. And when you are shooting, this is the problem. When you're shooting a target this small, right, when you miss by a finger's width, it looks like you've missed by a mile. Okay, and you psych yourself out. So then I readjusted to my original setting and fired a set. Now we've got a problem. Now I'm confused, because now I'm not even making my hits on my original settings, which doesn't make sense. I literally went to the back of the range, sat on my phone, and just looked at some reels on Instagram, just chilled out a bit, got out of the zone, and then I went and I shot again. And as you can see, all 3 dead in the square. Guys, there's something that not a lot of people talk about when it comes to zeroing your red dot. Your state of mind does have an effect on the way you shoot. Like, you know you can shoot. You've been stacking them all through from 3 to 5 to 7 to 10, right? And then all of a sudden you miss one and you're out of it. Take a moment, take a step back. Understand that you're shooting a target that is much smaller than anything you'll more than likely aim at in real life, and is definitely an easy is definitely an E. These are all A zone hits if you're shooting an A zone target, right? So, but obviously when it comes to zeroing, you want it to be as tight as possible. It's very important to take that step back and just calm yourself down. I then did a final confirmation zero. Now here's where you have to understand your shooting. I was pushing one low all day. That was the first round that went low. The second two both went through the same hole. And this is the thing I was aiming at right here. So we literally within a fingernail of what I was aiming at. And that is where I stopped. Like I'm comfortable enough to say that is now zeroed. Now guys, I zeroed with 124 grain ammo. My carry ammo is 127 grain. That's definitely something you want to look at. Once you all zeroed up, get your carry ammo out, do the exact same thing, fire 3 shots and see where you are at, because your carry ammo might perform differently to your range ammo. And so guys, the methodology here is at 3 meters, it's relatively easy to hit your targets. That builds your confidence, okay? You move back to 5, the adjustment at 5 meters is minimal. Okay, we're talking two meters. It's going to be a tiny adjustment. You might see more fault in your fundamentals than in the 0. Then you move back to 7. Again, a tiny adjustment from 5. It'll be a small, maybe probably a range adjustment. Okay, and then from 7 you move back to 10. It's literally 3 meters. Okay, and you'll more than likely just need to do a slight range adjustment. And you should be good to go. I tend to find once I can hit all 3 shots in the square at 3, my windage is pretty much sorted. And then it's just a matter of adjusting for altitude, or adjusting for range. But the problem is, if you start off at 10, okay, you don't know if it's your shooting ability that's the problem or if the red dot is off. If you shoot 5 shots, I often find when I shoot 5 shots, 3 of them are solid and 2 of them are out. Now, that bothers me because 2 is out, okay? Where if 1 of them is out, I can live with that. It's just a mental thing. I find the zeroing a dot is a very deep mental thing. So guys, that's how I do it. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody. Take from this what you feel is important, discard what you don't feel is important. I hope it helps. It's maybe a new shooter way of doing it. That is it, guys. I hope this video helps. If not, I'm sorry. Maybe you want to subscribe to see more useless videos. If it did help, maybe you should subscribe so that you can see more useful videos. And if you want to support the channel and help us make these videos, I have to buy all this ammo myself and that sort of thing. Please consider becoming a patron. It's $5 and we give away guns, knives, holsters, optics almost on a monthly basis. That's it, guys. Have a good week. Be safe. Train hard. Cheers. God bless.